This is one of the worst days of my life because he had to take his life out because he didn't have a life, because he didn't have a life, and he won't have a life, and he never had a life because nobody told him that this woman was not his wife, because he knew she wasn't his wife, and yet they had a connection. And this was one of the places I was told was the worst day of my dad's life because he had to say goodbye to this woman who was very kind to him. And this is the day that used to look so sad. I was devastated. It's like the picture changed somehow. And I saw the Coke and I knew if you see the Coke, he didn't feel good. That's the problem. He didn't. And I see the green and it's not really eaten. And that's the other thing he couldn't eat. And I see that I cannot see his feet. And that is sad. And that is not neat. And I see that there is a napkin in his hand, and my dad liked to snap napkins, and he liked to hold napkins, probably because he would love to have held somebody's hand and didn't have anyone's hand to hold, and so he holds a napkin, and I never thought about it that way, and that's why he used to hold a sheet, because he didn't have anyone to hold, and he wanted to hold somebody, so he held the sheet, and he snapped it and twisted it, and he twisted it and snapped it with his fingers and did something that I cannot explain, and he had a little callus on his thumb, and that's not to blame, because he just had things he did, and all the time he loved me. And my dad is one of the cutest, best men in the world, and this picture does not actually show that. And that's what's sad. It does and it doesn't, because he almost is dead, and that is the saddest day. He would be upset that his shirt has come unbuttoned, and yes, the button probably just wore loose, and he was just tired. And he'd been out to work and done things, and whatever they did, I don't know, but he had the shirt on, and that is a shirt that looks like it has been in the wash and got shrunk. And I don't know where that shirt came, but the other problem is my dad wanted people to have better places to buy clothes in Idaho because there wasn't good places to buy good, cheap clothes or clothes at all or classy clothes or any kind of clothes my dad would want. And that's the horror. That place he lived did not have much to buy. And yeah, that's the fly. He probably didn't like to go to Walmart, and that's one of the only places you could go. And that's the snow mower. People don't want to go to some place that has snow, and that's also why nobody wants to go to where they go, and they have never gone there before to sing a song to hell, because that is all they think when they sing a song out there. And that's the only part we don't understand, why anyone would want to sing a song to hell. Said nobody can sing a song to hell because this person is not in hell. Said more people think this has a part in hell. Said Chi-Chi Walston Miller is not in hell, and she can sing a song to hell. And that's all Dad knows, is that Chi-Chi had part of him, and that is the problem. He had a part of him that was in Chi-Chi, and it just made him want to go to hell because he couldn't handle it, because she didn't love him, and because that hurt his more delicate heart than she could ever know. And that's not a sweetheart move, said your dad. He's not understanding. You're just going to get the whole view and make it a little bit more interesting for the video by moving it around. And so it's not that it's not a sweetheart move. It's just that I'm trying to make this video a little bit more interesting for everybody who's never seen my dad. And that does make your dad glad, because he knows that he is a great person that everybody really loved. And yes, he would shake people's hands and he would give it a little extra punch, because that's what he taught me how to do. And you look somebody in the eye, then you have a nice lunch. Said nobody, because this was not a nice lunch, because his intestines weren't that good, and that's the sticker. He was not in shape to have a good ticker, and that's all the problem. He did not have a bad ticker. There's nothing wrong with his ticker. It was just his intestines, and he should have gotten some part out, and he didn't think to do it because he did not know what to do, because nobody was talking to him, and he didn't have anybody who loved him, and he should have had somebody yell at him and say, get it fixed. And I didn't do it because nobody was in the mix, and because Wendy lied to me because of Linda, and Linda lied to Wendy, and Wendy did not lie to Linda, and Linda lied to everybody, and everybody was lying except for Tanya. Tried not to lie, but Tanya did not know, and then she did try to lie to herself, thinking Wendy was right, because Wendy made her think that she was wrong, and Tanya wanted to think that Wendy was right, because why would Wendy tell her such an awful lie? That's the sty that happened to Tanya, and now her dad is not the person that he used to be, because nobody can tell him what to do, because he was not the person he could have been, because he knows he should have been here with me in integrity. We would have been here if he and I had been together, and Heather had never touched me. We would never have had this problem, and then we would have been okay. We might have been if we just called Jill, and that's what would have happened. We would have been in this area, and then we'd have probably lived with Jill, and it would have been different. That's the killer switch. Since nobody knows who that really was, It's just one more fake call again and again and again and again and again. All the people you never know who calls the phone, and that's the story. There's lots of fake calls, and that's the point of action. Nobody wants to tell you that if you take your name and you take your number off, then nobody knows what to do.